So, fellow educators, this is the time for our final Ed Talk speaker, Shakeel Ali. He's an educator, an entrepreneur, and a gun violence survivor. Also, a San Francisco native and proud graduate of San Francisco State University. Shakeel has worked tirelessly for more than 20 years, advocating for youth and families in education, foster care, and juvenile justice systems. He's a founder of Ask Academy, Alternative School of Knowledge, and creator of Stop BS, Stop Bullying System. Shakeel is currently board president of the Jefferson Elementary School District and a thriving community leader in San Mateo County. Please join me in welcoming Shakeel Ali to the stage.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing so far? All right, it's great. All right. It's truly amazing and gratifying to be here with all of you today. It's been a wild and fun journey. When I first started here years ago as a freshman, I was a bit overwhelmed, to say the least. And I'm not ashamed to say this. I came to school every day, but I completed 0 units my first semester. I would come to school with my headphones on, listen to music, and go straight to the student union. I did that for 2 semesters straight. I decided I needed a break from school. I took 1 semester off, and I was working, like many young adults do. I was working in retail at a shoe store, and I had an experience that made me decide that I needed to go back to school and get a better job. So I decided to actually go to City College of San Francisco. And, you know, when I graduated from high school, I actually had an opportunity to go to almost any college that I wanted to in the country. However, I was not well prepared with the application process. And I was overwhelmed by that whole situation. I had a drawer full of letters from colleges that I never opened. And my mother found all of these letters, took them to my school, and showed the principal. I didn't know this. And I got called out of class one day, and I got yelled at by our principal. I won't tell you what school that was, but she was very upset, and especially because she saw one letter from Stanford University. And I'll never remember the words. I'll never forget the words she said. She said, "You didn't even open this letter from Stanford." She said, "Stanford doesn't have to recruit anybody. If they ask you to just go up to there and look at the stars, you better be there." And all of that was just over the top for me. All I cared about was I didn't have money. You know, that was my issue. How do I apply for these schools when they have application fees? How do I, get the money to go to school every semester? So that was one of my obstacles. When I decided to change careers from retail to my true calling, which is education, I actually got an opportunity to apply to be a paraprofessional in the San Francisco Unified School District. And through that experience, it solidified that I knew I was an educator for life. Now, through this experience, I was able to enter the paraprofessional to teacher career program. Through that program, as an employee of the San Francisco Unified School District, we were paid an extra 2 hours a day, and we were given money to pay for books and other essentials, and they paid our tuition. So that the only thing we had to agree to was to become a teacher or an educator for at least 2 years after that. So through that program, I was able to matriculate through this school. So for that, I'm eternally grateful to the San Francisco Unified School District and San Francisco State University. So I'm happy that we're all here today. We're working on improving our methods and making sure that we equip and empower our students to retain them and ensure they matriculate. Why? Because the future belongs to those who are prepared. For retention and redirection, for those youth who have strayed off the path a little bit, there are many challenges that they are navigating through. So I'd like to pay attention to two. Back in 2011, we started at Ask Academy following the trends in education, economics, and other areas. So we found an article by the Time magazine entitled "The Truth About the Poverty Crisis." So the two areas I'm going to touch on a little bit are the poverty crisis and the era of hyperconnectivity. In this article, she mentioned that poverty is about the lack of social mobility. And that came up earlier with the first speaker, Yvette Nicole Brown, when she said, for people in impoverished communities, education is the way out. I definitely knew that in my situation that was the way out. But I didn't have that extra support and confidence to get there quicker. Another phenomenon that the article talked about is something called doubling up. Has anyone ever heard of that? Doubling up. This is the economic reality that we're in California and in the Bay Area. Doubling up is when adults move back home with their parents. All right? So we know what the high cost of living is here in the Bay Area. Rent costs, mortgage costs, everything is expensive here. So people are having to move back in with their parents. Another thing that they talked about, though, that was an opportunity was that there would be job growth in education and also in government jobs. So this was in 2011. The fourth thing that they talked about was that there's a gap between what people are advocating for socially, that the young people that are faced with this situation, and they should be doing this, they're pushing for more money for education and for retraining, while the elders are pushing for more funding for programs like Social Security. So young people, you're in trouble. But keep pushing, though, for more funding for education. Now, as far as hyperconnectivity, this article is from the Bay Area News Group, and they talked about 5 things. Number one, that now the world is flat. You can reach all, quote unquote, 4 corners of the earth immediately through Facebook, Twitter. We were on Instagram today, iPhones, LinkedIn, etc. This also creates challenges and opportunities. The first challenge is that finding a job now is hard. The opportunity is that for those who are prepared, it's easy now to invent a job or a career or find a customer. You can do that easily now through the internet and through digital technology. Number 4, that now we're not focused so much on made in the USA, but that things are made in the world. And that you can find bronze customers anywhere in the world. The 5th thing was that outsourcing was an old model, and that now, when it comes to competition between employers, there's only good, better, or best. So people are looking for the best workers and people to do business with, no matter where they are in the world. We're here in California. So in order to compete in California, our students need to learn to 1, maneuver, 2, adapt to change, and 3, flourish. While I was in the back talking with Andrea, we were talking about how also we need to empower teachers to be able to adapt to change as well. I heard Dean Munter say earlier this morning, together we can tackle anything. Is that true? All right. All right, together we can tackle anything. This is why. The age of information has led to the age of confusion. Some may know how, but hardly any know why. Our society has changed work models from production work to knowledge-based work, and it has become increasingly important to develop analytical and personal skills to be able to compete in the 21st century workplace. Our children and young adults need help with their life plans for success. Can we help them with that? Yes, all right, all right. So together we can tackle anything. If we develop life and career planning curriculum, we will help keep the students engaged and meet their needs to want to learn. I read an article yesterday in the U.S. News and World Report by Tiffany Miller, and it's called Common Core for College Readiness. She says, quote, ensuring that all students are prepared for college and career was the impetus behind the 43 states and the District of Columbia that adopted the Common Core state standards. Research shows that students who are are exposed to rigorous curricula and the practices that the Common Core embodies are more likely to succeed in college or a career. As I read the article, I started thinking about the work that we've done in the Bay Area helping first-generation students with their transition to adulthood. I started that work because of my own personal experience and because all of the smart friends and neighbors that I had who weren't even confident enough to go up and apply to college. I remember standing outside with my friends sometimes and begging them, please, just go up to City College, I'll help you with the process. I wanted to figure out, along with other students at City College, how we could change that dynamic. So along with other San Francisco youth, we came up with strategies to bridge the gap between the campus and the community. And that's how Ask Academy was founded. This Ask Academy was actually first founded as Ask Institute at City College by youth from the community. So back to Tiffany, in her article she says, quote, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know which classes or to select or how to acclimate to a new culture that I had never been exposed to. I thought I was prepared academically, but wasn't really sure. Would I be able to keep up? What exactly was expected of me? Would I graduate? This scenario is all too familiar for disadvantaged or underserved students who are the first in their families to go to college. And far too many of them realize early on that they're not prepared academically for a rigorous college education. All right, I don't want this to sound like doom and gloom, so I'm gonna skip some of this. We're getting there. But I will just point out that there was also a study done by the ACT, and half of first-generation students who took the ACT didn't even meet one benchmark for college readiness, not even one. All right, so that's the need, a little bit of the need and the why. So let's talk a little bit more about what and who. We need to better prepare our California students and our children for the future in the global economy. They need to learn how to collaborate, but also how to compete and flourish. We need everyone to get involved in supporting our teachers, schools, children, and communities. We need youth, parents, mentors, support providers, site administrators, district office personnel, program coordinators, staff developers, teachers, educators, researchers, and policymakers to all get involved in this. One way we can drive positive change is through innovative curriculum, or like Eric Lewis said earlier, high impact and engaging curriculum. So what is that? Of course, we can't forget about the 3 R's of the traditional core curriculum. We need that, and now we have the Common Core to help frame some of this information. But we also need, alongside with that, life coaching, mentoring, focus on developing performance-based competencies in our youth. This can enhance and supplement the core curriculum. So how do we do this? Holistic teaching versus only focusing on subject matter. Now, this is kind of a touchy subject because now I was reading articles about there's now a push for teachers to know more about their subject matter, which is good. But what people forget sometimes is that comes through time and experience and practice, right? So we do need to balance that. Our teachers need to know about their subject, but they also need to know about these other issues that youth are dealing with. So if we pay attention more to what they call the EQ, or the emotional quotient, and a little less to the IQ, maybe we can improve things. Can we do that? All right. So together we can tackle anything. I don't think this is my water, is it? It's mine? All right. All right. This is why experiential learning is so important. Even today, this conference has modeled that practice. So little definitions. Components of experiential learning. Affective refers to the feeling or emotional aspect of experience and learning. Thanks. Cognitive refers to the activity of the mind in knowing an object to intellectual functioning. Schools have focused almost exclusively on cognitive learning. Confluent education describes a philosophy and a process of teaching and learning in which the affective domain and the cognitive domain flow together like two streams merging into one river, and are thus integrated in individual and group learning. Experiential learning reinforces student learning outcomes and ensures full participation and maximizes student potential. Remember, what you hear, you forget. What you see, you remember. What you do, you learn. Competencies I spoke a little bit about earlier are knowledge, skills, talents, and abilities that the learning process requires students to act, use, and demonstrate as they relate to a competency. So if we can start explaining these things to our youth now, they'll be ready for the work world where that's what they'll be evaluated on, is their performance, not just their potential. So when? Now. This is a call to action. We need to pay attention to the trends so that we may properly address the challenges and opportunities ahead of us. So like I said before, we're paying attention right now to economic trends, financial, education, career trends, local, state, national, and global. We need to find out more about initiatives like the Big Lift, which started in San Mateo County to help early childhood education, family literacy, which is something I'm just now finding out about as a formal practice, where we're raising the literacy levels of our elementary school youth by working with their families and doing ESL classes and other types of learning at the adult school in Daly City. PBIS, or Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports. We need to figure out how to better and best utilize the LCAP and Common Core standards. In 2007, there were students who offered easy fixes for education woes. This is from San Francisco Chronicle. 7 struggling students, black, brown, and white, spent an hour Wednesday at the Sacramento Convention Center telling professional educators what works and doesn't work in their schools. It was only one of 125 panels at the 2-day Achievement Gap Summit convened by State Schools Chief Jack O'Connell, where students had their say. Clyde Williams, 17, said, he was a Pacific High senior, said, he knows teachers believe in him when they, quote, give you words of encouragement instead of putting negative stuff in your face. The moderator, Bonnie Bernard of WestEd, a national education research agency based in San Francisco, said, young people who succeed in spite of traumatic childhoods almost always have 3 protective factors in place. At least one caring relationship, high expectations from people who believe in them, and having the chance to give as well as receive. So like I said, when the time is now, hopefully we will have a chance to talk about next steps with most of the people or all the people in the room. I'm looking forward to that. I just want you to remember, if you don't remember anything, just remember 2 things, all right? The first is what Dean Muncher said, which is together we can tackle anything. The second is the future belongs to those who are prepared. Thanks for your time.